Hello everyone. Sorry, I was doing something before I got right on here, so it's gonna take me like a minute to get on, like mentally on, but here we are. I put up with the poll, and you guys wanted more radio dramas, so I guess you guys enjoyed my performance of The Shadow, and I'm going to try and re-deliver that again. So we're going off of a couple of transcripts from radioplayers.west.org, and we've got two Shadow stories today. We've got The Shadow, the Silent Avenger, and The Shadow, the Bells of St. Peter's. So, as I have said in my last couple of streams, I don't own anything that I am going to be performing here for you today. Alright, so. Alright, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Get your tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Alright, we're starting with the Bells of St. Peter's. Alright, so we got Lamont Cranston, who's also the Shadow, Margot Lane, Teresa, housekeeper at the villas. Crap, it's a bunch of Italian names, isn't it? Pedro Scalazza, the Italian movie director, blah. Full disclosure, I may or may not have had a bottle of wine before this performance, so please forgive me. Lydia Stevenson, American actress. Tony Fortunato, an American. I'm laughing because I'm just thinking of, you know, the Edgar Allan Poe story, The Cast of Amontillado, where the narrator, he really hates his best friend who happens to be named Fortunato. And so he walls up Fortunato into this, like little dead end in his wine cellar that also happens to double as a mausoleum. Don't ask, it's Edgar Allan Poe. So I'm just laughing at the fact that they named the racketeer, who I am going to assume is the bad guy of the story, Fortunato. So, I am going to go off the assumption that Fortunato is not going to have a very good time. Alright, then Commissario, the Italian commissioner of the police. Alright, so here we go. Doo-doo. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. The Shadow, who aids the forces of law and order, is, in reality, Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. Several years ago, while in the Orient, Cranston learned a strange and mysterious secret, the hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so they cannot see him. Cranston's friend, Margot Lane, is the only person who knows whom the voice of the invisible Shadow belongs to. I thought it was telepathy, but I guess it is now established that it is some sort of oriental power. Whatever. Alright. Today's drama, The Bells of St. Peter's, is about a missing movie star, a blood-stained room, and a strange department store sales slip. It will begin in just a moment, but first, pause for commercial. Buy Blue Coal. Blue Coal is amazing, apparently, even though I have no idea what that is. And now, The Shadow and The Bells of St. Peter's. The Italian sun is warm and bright on this Saturday afternoon in April. The streets of Rome are crowded with laughing children and people rushing about to finish their shopping in time for tomorrow, Easter Sunday. But in the Villa Melitone, an apartment hotel just off the Piazza Damn you Italians. Piazza Barberini, the housekeeper's mind is not on Easter, but on the many apartments she still has to clean. Teresa sets down her mop and broom, pauses before the door of a suite on the second floor, and mutters to herself. These American movie stars. This one, she makes so much trouble. She said, Teresa do this, Teresa doesn't get that, Teresa clean this. A woman so beautiful and so cold, like a fish. See, like a fish. Senora Stevens! She is out, making the picture for the cinema. Bueno, now I can go in. And clean as I wish. No one to say, Teresa, the stockings, Teresa, the... Mamma mia! What has happened? Senora Stevens! Senora Stevens! Oh, blood! Everywhere blood! The chair's overturned! The lamp's broken! I'm afraid to look. I'm afraid to open the closed door. She may be... Oh, no one here. But the furniture, the blood. I'm sick. I must call the police at once. There it is, Lamont. Just up ahead. Studio Elena, director's office. Oh, Lamont, this is going to be such fun. Damn it. If you were so anxious to visit a movie studio, Margot, you didn't have to wait until we came to Rome. They've got them in America too, you know. I know, but this is different. A movie directed by the one and only Pietro Scalza, the famous Italian director. And starring Linda Stevens, the most intriguing of all American stars. That should be a winning combination, Lamont. Here we are. Signora Scalda's office. Guess we better knock. This is the end! Everything is ruined, finished, destroyed! Lamont, listen. Yes, someone sounds pretty excited. 20 years ago in the theater, and never has such a thing happened to me. Pietro Scalza! I better knock again. Come in. They cannot do this to me. I will not permit it. Never. 100,000. Signor Cranston. I'm glad to see you. Bueno giorno, Signor Scalza. What happens to be the trouble? Trouble? Everything is lost. Finished. I am ruined. Why? What happened, Mr. Scalza? My star, Linda Stevenson. She is gone. Disappeared. Vanished. Linda Stevenson's gone? Now, one day before the film is finished, with only 2 more scenes to shoot, the most important scenes in the story. What scenes are they? A love scene, the greatest love scene in the history of cinema, and a death scene, the most tragic one ever written. Without them, I am nothing. $100,000 lost! Senor Scalza, why do you say Miss Stevens has disappeared? Perhaps she's ill or delayed. No. She is gone. Something terrible has happened to her. What makes you so sure? Last night, I had a dinner engagement with her. She is to me at She is to meet me at Donnaise. She does not come. I call her apartment. No answer. Today, all day. I call her place. She is not there. Now I have been calling the police. They are looking for her. Perhaps she's tired, Mr. Scalza, and went off for a few days' rest. Rest? You do not know this Stevens woman. She lives only for her work. Nothing stands in the way of her career. No. If she is not here, it is because she is dead, or kidnapped, or out of her mind, and I am ruined. I may as well throw myself into the timber. Senor Scalza, perhaps it's not too late. Perhaps we can help. Help? Can you take her place? Or Senora Lane? How can you help? I don't know yet, but suppose Miss Lane and I start by checking on Linda Stevenson's apartment. Blood. Everywhere blood, you see? Yes, I see. And the furniture overturned. Lamont, the lamps and vases smashed. Pietro Scalza was right. Something terrible has happened to Linda Stevenson's. Teresa, when you came to clean this apartment before, is this how you found it? Si, senor. I swear it. I touch nothing. I call the policeman at least at once. Ask the commissioner here. I believe she speaks in truth, Senor Constant. She calls right after Senor Scalza did. Tell me, Teresa, did you hear anything? I hear many things. Shouting, fighting, cursing. From this apartment? How can one tell? We are right near the Pizzara Barbanini. There is much noise on the streets, and this is a big hotel. Many people shout. Did you hear or see anything last night? What do you ask her about last night, senor? Or what do you ask her about last night, senor? Her bed wasn't slept in, Commissioner. So? And Linda Stevens hasn't kept an appointment with her director. Ah, see. That is so. Then whatever happened to Signora Stevens may have happened last night. And if that profuse bleeding wasn't stopped in a little while... Lamont! You don't think she might have bled to death? It's possible, Margot. Teresa, tell me, who comes to see this woman, this American accent? Nobody. What? It is the truth. She has no friends. When she not work, she stay home alone. Alone? A beautiful woman like that? I'd heard that about her, Margot. She is not very sociable. Oh, like the famous Greta Garbo. You sure, Teresa, you have not seen anyone come here to visit this woman? Never. Only one man. A man? Who is it? I do not know his name. He is a big man, big shoulders, long curly hair, very handsome. He give big tips. I see. A big handsome man. See. He wear very fine clothes. Fine clothes. Was he Americano? Si, he speak English. You heard him speak? See, he have strange voice, like whisper. Ah, and he breathed like this. See, Commissioner, that is the one. You know him, Commissioner? See. And you have heard of him, no doubt. He is the Americano, Tony Fortunato. Tony Fortunato? Meaning anything to you, Lamont? Of course. He was This is wild. I have never heard of deportations happening before. Our year of the Lord. 1990. He was deported from America several years ago for his criminal activities. Commissioner, do you know where we can find him? Certo. We have been keeping, how you say, the eye of the eagle on him. We do not like narcotic peddlers any more than you do. You will find him at the Hotel Flamma. It is on the Piazza Adriana. Lamont, that's right near the Castle St. Angelo. Grazie, Commissioner. We'll hurry right over. I will go with you. If you don't mind, I'd rather make this visit unofficial. We may get more out of him that rate. As you wish, Signor Cranston. Only remember, be very careful. This Fortunato may be dangerous. We will return to the shadow in just a moment, but first, commercial. We need to peddle our shit. And now, back to the shadow. Having found a link between Linda Stevens and an American movie star who has vanished, and Tony Fortunato, an American racketeer who has been deported, Lamont Cranston and Margot Lane decide to call on Fortunato at his hotel in Rome. They are now standing outside the door of his hotel suite. Bzzzt. Bzzzt. Let's see. Mr. Fortunato? Yeah? My name, Crandall. This is my friend, Miss Lane. Yeah, so what? Well, we're Americans. So what do you want? A 21-gun salute? Why, no. We just thought... You thought I'd drop down and kiss your feet because you come from the good old USA. Well, nuts to that. Just a moment, Mr. Fortunato. You got us wrong. We're no ordinary tourists. No, I'm a magazine writer. I'd like to do a piece about you. An article that... Oh, you would? Very much. You see, back home, most people, especially your enemies, have the idea you're miserable here. That you're living in poverty. They do. No kidding. They think I'm broke. You'd be surprised. I want to write an article telling the truth, showing how well you're doing, how you live, the real lowdown. Okay. Good idea. Come in. I'll tell you everything you want to know. Think I'm bored, do they? Look around. Finest suite in the hotel. All the furnishings mine. What do you think of it? Why, it's beautiful. How do you like those paintings? They're all genuine. Some by Picasso and Degas. Nice, huh? Fabulous. How about modern paintings? Ain't these modern? They better be. If I find out anybody's palmed off any old-fashioned stuff on me, I'd go 'em off. What a wonderful collection of books. Have you read them all? Not yet. I'm gonna, though. What a magazine story this'll make. Say, that's a very valuable book up there on the top shelf. That copy of Dante. May I look at it? Sure, I'll get it for you. This one? Yeah, that's it. I'd like to check the publication date. Yeah, you want? Thanks. Say, what happened to your wrist? What? I noticed the bandage when you reached up. What happened? You're pretty nosy, aren't you? That's my profession, asking questions. Oh yeah. I broke a shading mirror last night. Just nicked me. Nothing at all. Pretty big bandage for a little cut. Yeah, well, you see, I'm a bleeder. Something about my blood. I see. Funny thing. What's this? What is? Just a while ago, we saw evidences of quite a lot of bleeding. Yeah? Where? The apartment of Lydia Stevens. Ever hear of her? Yeah, in the movie store. What were you doing there? We went there to do a story for a movie magazine, but she was gone, and her apartment was in shambles. Blood all over the place. I don't like the way you're talking, pal. What are you getting at? Did you know Lydia Stevens? Maybe. What about it? What kind of dealings did you have with her? Watch out, buddy. You're stepping out of line. If you don't tell us, you'll have to tell the police. You think so? Yes, they know you've been to see her. You're the only man in Rome who did visit her. So what? Were you there last night? No, I wasn't. I ain't seen her in weeks. And now, you two, out! I can't get along without you, and I can get along without you and your lousy magazine. Out! Before I throw you out! Very well. Miss Lane and I will leave. Arrivederci, my friend. We will meet again. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why don't the police grab that Fortunato and stick him in jail? On what grounds? Murder! The murder of Lydia Stevens. No motive, no means, no weapon, no corpse. They don't have much of a case. Oh, you and your law. I'm surprised the police had sense enough to warn Fortunato not to leave Rome. That man's a killer, I tell you. Hello, operator. Officer, this is Mr. Cranston again in room 412. How are you doing on that call to the States? That's right, Police Commissioner Weston. CC. You have? Alright, I'll try it anyways. There's a little trouble on the line. Weston, this is Cranston. I said this is Cranston. Yes, in Rome. Rome! I can't hear a word you're saying. What's that? You hear me? Good. Weston, I'd like you to cable me some information. I want all the dope you can get a hold of on one Tony Fortunato. Deported from the States in... Oh, brother. These Italian police stations. You can't get loose in these halls. I'll bet the Commissionero was bowled over when you told him about Weston's cable. I don't know. All he said was, come right over and bring the cable with you. I know, I was bowled over. We suspected some kind of connection between Fortunato and Lydia Stevens, but this... Strange, isn't it? Her daughter and Fortunato. Man and wife. It's unbelievable. Lydia Stevens is so young looking on the screen. She plays Ingenues. Who in the world would have believed that she had a marriageable daughter? Oh, I don't know. She could be in her early 30s and have an 18-year-old daughter. That's not so odd. What bothers me is why her daughter would want to marry a gangster like Fortunato. Well, he's terribly handsome, Lamont. Dresses beautifully, has loads of money. Yes, and he was riding high when she married him. He lived in a penthouse on Park Avenue, mixed with the theater crowd. Here we are. According to the sign, this is the Commissionado's office. I hate it when I need to yawn. Alright. Ah, Senor Cranston. Senora Lane. We didn't expect you to be working on Easter Sunday. What choice have I? This Lydia Stevens must be found. Here's the cable, Commissioner. Si, grazie. You have already informed me of its contents. I guess you never knew Fortunato was married. On the contrary, Miss Lane. We knew all the time. What? We know he is married. But we do not know his wife is... But we do not know his wife is daughter of Senora Stevens. When he was deported, Commissioner, did she come here to Italy with him? Un momento. I'll look in file. I see. She come here with him. She did. Well then, do you know where she is? See, I know. She is dead. She died last year. Bad heart. Much sickness. Oh, what a shame. Yes. Only one thing puzzles me. Why would Lydia Stevens and Fortunato have anything to do with each other if the only link between them is dead? Scusi, Signor Cranston. I see in my file there is another link, not dead. Another link? See, in Rome, a child was born of this marriage. A boy. Here is the certificate of birth. We will return to the shadow in just a moment, but first, shameless peddling. You know, I know Bud Light has gotten some bad flack last year, but I still love a Bud Light lime. Not gonna lie. And now, back to the shadow. Lamont Cranston and Margot Lane investigating the disappearance in Rome of Lydia Stevens, the movie actress, and suspecting foul play at the hands of Tony Fortunato, an ex-gangster, discover that Fortunato was married to Lydia's daughter, and that daughter died, but is survived by a young son, presumably living somewhere in Italy. Quentin and Margot hurry back to Lydia Stevens' apartment in the Villa Meton, determined to find some clue. It's no use, Lamont. The police have been over this place with a fine-toothed comb. And we searched it once before. What can you expect to find? You never know, Margot. A clue doesn't have a sticker on it. Something here may give us a lead. Well, I don't see what those department store boxes are going to tell you. They're all empty. Yes, I suppose you're... Margot, look at the sales slip. What does it say? You might know my Italian is weak. So's mine. But listen. 2 pairs of children's shoes. A boy's jacket. Size 3. Of course. Look at this one. A set of toy trains. 5,000 lire. Toy trains? And a cowboy suit. Size 3. Lydia Stevens was buying things for the little boy. That means she knew where her grandson was, or hoped to find out. Yes, you're right. Whoever you are, Lamont, she's fainting. Mrs. Stevens, she's going to... I got her. Miss Stevenson, are you all right? Margot, some wine, quickly. No, I'm all right. Just help me get into a chair. Huh? Okay, now I'm confused. Now I am very confused. Yes, of course. Study. That's it. Here, drink this. Thank you. You're Americans. Yes. Friends of Vittorio Scalazza, your director. He's been frantic about your disappearance. Where have you been, Miss Stevens? What happened to you? It's a long story. Ever since my daughter died, I've tried to get custody of her child. My grandson. He's here in Italy. I wanted to bring him to America, but Tony Fortunato wouldn't let me have him. He does like you very much, doesn't he? He's always hated me, just like I've hated him. He ruined my daughter's life. He drove her to her death. Well, that's over with now. Yes, go on. When I was asked to come over here to Rome to make this picture, I pulled all kinds of wires. I managed to get court orders and letters from the State Department and whatnot, in the hope that I would get the authorities here to turn my grandson over to me. But Miss Stevens, American court orders, they wouldn't have any force here in Italy. Tony doesn't know that. When he found out that I had those papers, he got frightened. So he sent little Tommy to some relatives in the country and came here to my apartment Friday night. He lied to us, Lamont. He said he wasn't here. He was here, all right. He demanded the papers. I refused to give them to him. He got furious, began searching like a madman, tearing the place apart. I tried to stop him. We fought. Finally, I picked up a vase, tried to hit him on the head, but he warded it off with his arm. Yes, and cut his wrist. He bled all over the place. It was awful, but didn't stop him. In the end, he found the papers and left. And you didn't go to the police? I didn't want any publicity. I had no time. I had to leave at once. I was determined to get my grandson, even if I had to abduct him. But you didn't even know where to go. Yes, I did. Tony let it slip that they were struggling. He mentioned his cousin in Avento. I hired a car that night and drove there. Then, that's why you didn't meet Scalza for dinner? Yes. I reached Orivento about 2 o'clock Saturday morning. I couldn't do anything until later, of course. About 9 o'clock Saturday morning, I drove up close to the farmhouse on the skirts of Orivento. I waited for Tommy to come out to play. I thought I would lure him to my car with toys and games, things I had bought several days ago in the hopes of finding him. I even had a little cowboy suit for him. And Tommy never came out. It was obvious they had been warned that I might come. The child had been spirited away. I stayed at the village nearby a second night, but I knew I had lost. I would never have another chance. You wanted that child very much, don't you? Yes. My daughter is dead. I did so many things wrong with her. So many. But it's too late now to make up with her. I no longer have a husband. I have nothing. Nothing but money and things and a career. I have nothing in this world but my grandson. I'd give everything for him. Perhaps you won't have to, Miss Stevens. What do you mean? Well, so far, Tony Fortunato has been lucky. The sun has been shining for him. And now, the shadow is about to cross his path. I think this might be my only story for today because, I am starting to feel that wine right now, so. No. Setting something on fire. You understand, Gatsby? Don't tell anyone come near the place. Nobody. CC. I'll pay you. Don't worry. But if you let anyone take my son, you'll be sorry. You understand? Good. Arrivederci. Who's that? Who's laughing? The shadow, Tony. Shadow? What shadow? There's nobody here. You can't see me, Tony. But I'm here. I followed you in. No. It's a trick. It's my imagination. I must be going nuts. Why, Tony? Because your conscience bothers you? Because you're hurting a lovely woman again. She wants my kid. Mine. Why should I give him up? Why should she take him away? Because it's better for him, Tony. You know it. Better? It's better for him to be with me than in America, where they threw his father out. Why did they throw his father out? Think back, Tony. Think of the narcotics your henchmen peddled to innocent teenage kids. Think of the kids whose lives you'd ruined. No. Go away. Go away! That boy of yours. criminal, make him suffer for your crimes. You want him to grow up like you, a criminal. He needs a mother, Tony, and there is no one who wants him. You're trying to soften me up, to make me give up what's mine. I hate that woman. I've always hated her. Why should I stop now? Why should I give in? Listen, Tony. You hear that? The bells of St. Peter's, just a few blocks away. It's Easter Sunday. Listen, Tony. Perhaps you'll find your answer. Dun, dun, dun. We'll return to the shadow in just a moment, but first, shameless peddling. Now, a little later, Lamont Cranston and Margot Lane are standing before the magnificent St. Peter's Church in Vatican City, watching the throngs of people go up to the steps towards the entrance. The air is balmy, the sky a cloudless blue, a perfect Easter Sunday. Margot is speaking. Isn't it beautiful, Lamont? I can hardly believe I'm really here in Rome on Easter Sunday. Not exactly Rome, Margot. Vatican City. Just look at those fountains, those pillars, and listen to those bells. Don't they do something to you? Yes. And they evidently did something to Tony Fortunato, too. You mean the way he suddenly gave in? Yes. For a moment, he thought for the future, of the days and years to come, and he realized that, in the eyes of his son, he'll always be a gangster. His son might love him, but he'd be handicapped for the rest of his life by his father's reputation. And Tony, like most fathers, decided he wanted better things in life for his son. He wants Tony to grow up and to be proud and happy. Yes, he finally realized that Tommy would be better off with Lydia Stevens. Lydia Stevens, what a woman, Lamont. So cold, so hard-boiled, and she was willing to risk her life to get that child. She was suffering from the pangs of remorse, too, Margot. She kept her daughter hidden from sight, neglected her for a career, and finally lost her. And that's why she wanted Tommy. She couldn't undo the wrong she had done her daughter, but she could make it up for her daughter's son. In the end, Lydia Stevens learned that money, the things money can buy, and fame mean nothing when you have no one to love. No one who loves you. They were both lost, in a way, Lydia Stevens and Tony Fortunato, but a little child, on Easter Sunday, showed them the way. Listen again next week, same time, same station, when the shadow will demonstrate that the weeds of crime bear bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows. Alright, that was a fun story. Yeah, I'm sorry, I did have a little too much. So, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. We can, if you guys want to, we can cover The Silent Avenger at another time, because I don't really have much for us to react to. Well, maybe we might have something to react to. Like I said, this shadow voice is murder on my vocal cords. Oh yeah, there was a movie about it. Alright, let's look at this.
I mean, you could tell there was definitely the pulp inspiration, but they were pulling a lot from Batman 89, clearly. Folks, in our ongoing efforts to bring somewhat of a renaissance to the pulp campy comic book stories being adapted into film, today we're covering one of the best ones. After Tim Burton's Batman 1989, we saw studios doing anything they could to get their hands on popular comic book IPs to turn into schlock films for geeks like us to enjoy. And among all of those characters and IPs, one of them stood out as something that could tie a lot of these characters together. A mysterious and ominous narrator from a pulp series known only as The Shadow. I love this movie, and I happen to know that many of you love this movie. So in today's episode, we are going to take a look back on The Shadow and figure out what the f*** happened to this movie.
Beyond the shadow of a doubt, what's the most entertaining live-action standalone superhero movie you can think of? Chronicle, Darkman, Mystery Men, The Rocketeer, V for Vendetta? Okay. Now, which is the most notorious one-off superhero flick to get badly bludgeoned at the box office? All but dashing plans for a commercial multimedia franchise before they even started? After denying Sam Raimi the licensing rights to adapt his lifelong dream project, Universal Studios released The Shadow in 1994.
The Shadow probably would be a very complicated character to bring about because, well, you have the aspect that he is a character from the 30s. So trying to make a modern movie of him would be difficult enough, but then you also got the factor where he is a character who's not afraid to murder. And he is also a character who's pretty much like Mr. A when it comes to objectivism, which is not very popular nowadays. So he probably would not have made a very popular movie. So while The Shadow was popular back in his time, I don't know if he would be a very good movie hero.
Based on a character created in 1931 as a radio narrator by American publishers Street and Smith. The film was originally meant to be directed by visionary tech whiz Robert Zemeckis, but helmed by Australian music video director Russell Mulcahy instead, following several mediocre B-movies like Blue Ice and The Real McCoy. The first of many foolhardy mistakes, Universal should have granted Raimi a chance to bring The Shadow to the big screen 5 years earlier. Raimi was forced to create Darkman in response, which combines elements of The Shadow with classic Universal monsters of the 1930s and 40s.
That movie actually looks pretty dang cool.
All thank Universal for indirectly gifting the world with Darkman, it's high time to look back and wonder what doomed The Shadow, including why the film failed to capture the hearts and minds of moviegoers, instantly ending plans to turn it into a mega merchandising behemoth. All that and more when we pull back the mask and find out what the happened to this movie.
The Shadow knows.
The Shadow debuted in the 1930 radio program Detective Our Story and first appeared in print in the 1931 pulp novel.
Yeah, like we discussed in earlier episodes, The Shadow was an oops baby. He wasn't supposed to get popular, but then he got popular, and then we're all just like, the publisher houses were like, all right, I guess we gotta make a series about this guy now.
The Living Shadow. As a household mainstay, the character grew in popularity and was prominently featured in American comic strips, novels, serials, and other media formats, including The Shadow magazine, published from 1931 to 1949. From 1937 to 1938, the great Orson Welles narrated the Shadow radio program, further catapulting the character into the collective consciousness and increasing the crime fighter's cultural cachet. As for the 1994 big screen adaptation, long-proven film producer Martin Bregman purchased the rights to The Shadow in 1982, while Universal
I mean, the movie itself looks like it's very well made.
Denied Sam Raimi the chance to direct the adaptation. Robert Zemeckis was attached to the project through the 1980s, while he was making such landmark studio hits as the Back to the Future trilogy. Despite denying Raimi the rights, Universal allowed him to write a treatment for Darkman in 1987, a composite superhero bearing the Shadow's guilt-ridden origins, which he went and made for the studio and released in 1990. Describing the Shadow, Bregman stated, quote, "Batman, Spider-Man, they all followed the Shadow. The Shadow really was the prototype. He was the first anti-hero in pop American literature. There's a vestige of evil in him. There's a vestige of danger in him. That's what makes him a lot more interesting than all the other characters."
I mean, kinda, sort of. I mean, he is firmly on the side of the law. It's just, he doesn't exactly mind taking the law into his own hands, so long as he's going after a legitimately bad dude.
That follow, unquote. While developing the project, Bregman tapped David Koepp to pen the screenplay following his work on Jurassic Park. Koepp based the story on his childhood experience listening to the Shadow radio show on CBS reruns. With a handful of credits to his name by then, Koepp had just written Death Becomes Her for Zemeckis in 1992, with Universal planning on reteaming the duo for The Shadow. Alas, Zemeckis left the project around 1993. The same year, Koepp's outstanding screenplays for Jurassic Park and Carlito's Way were released as feature film adaptations. Penelope Ann Miller, who plays Margot Lane in The Shadow, also stars
She looks super pretty
in Carlito's Way. While Bregman produced Carlito's Way, arguably Brian De Palma's most underrated movie, he oversaw the silly throwaway thrillers Blue Ice and The Real McCoy in 1992-93. Once Zemeckis left, Bregman hired Russell Mulcahy to direct The Shadow, who made Blue Ice and The Real McCoy after several years of music video work. In 1990, Koepp wrote a new draft for Universal after struggling to adjust the proper tonal balance between light and dark, humor and horror. After Koepp's early drafts, Bregman stated, quote, "Some of them were light, some of them were darker, and others were supposedly funnier, which they weren't. It just didn't work," unquote. Modulating the character's tableau, Koepp combined elements of the Shadow's radio persona and magazine appearance. For instance, the story beats are inspired by the novels, while the overarching tenor of the movie echoes the radio show. The Shadow's alias, invisibility powers, and inclusion of Margot Lane were derived from the radio show. The Shadow's iconic costume, dual semi-automatic handguns, and affiliated agents are inspired by the pulp publications. While writing this,
they were both produced by the same company, so it's like, how much do you want to nitpick that?
Script, Koepp had Alec Baldwin in mind for protagonist Lamont Cranston, stating, quote, "He has the eyes and the voice. He had so much of what I pictured Cranston being," unquote. To tailor the script to Baldwin's natural charms and comedic timing, Koepp would sit in rehearsals and take notes to incorporate into the dialogue. Still, Koepp's biggest challenge was to set the Shadow apart from other superheroes by getting to the heart of what makes the character tick. The central query, "Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?" became the dramatic fulcrum on which to tell the Shadow's story. As Lamont looks,
Yeah, that's the whole point of the Shadow. What evil lurks in the hearts of men? He uses his powers to find out what inner demons people have so he can solve the case.
Inward to understand what drives men madly murderous, the story becomes about guilt and atonement, according to Koepp, a personal redemption tale for the masked and fedoraed vigilante skulking the noirish nighttime. Of course, a superhero is only as good as their archenemy, and when it came time to give the Shadow a worthy adversary, Koepp settled on Shawwan Khan. According to Koepp, Khan was chosen because, quote, "He was bold and he knew what he was doing. He wanted to conquer the world." That was very simple.
Ah, like Genghis Khan, get it?
Maybe a little ambitious, but he knew exactly what he wanted, end quote. Although Chow Yun-fat was considered to play Shawwan Khan, Mulcahy cast John Lone for the role. Khan, who appeared in 4 Shadow stories published in the 30s and 40s, is described as the last descendant of the barbarous Mongolian marauder Genghis Khan, steeping the mythological lore in rooted history. However, in 2003, DNA tests proved that roughly 8% of Mongolia's male population descended from Genghis Khan, meaning despite being fictional, Shawwan Khan was far from the last remaining relative. Speaking of inauthenticity,
Yeah, Khan was all about spreading his seed, whether consensually or unconsensually.
Shadow was filmed in Los Angeles, despite taking place in New York City, where the character originates. Bolstered by a $25 million budget that swelled to $40 million, principal photography lasted 60 days between September 27, 1993 and January 28, 1994, with a minor film unit performing on location throughout Southern California. For example, the interiors of the Monolith Hotel were filmed inside the Pantages Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. The Cobalt Club that Lamont frequents in the film was modeled after Harlem's famous Cotton Club and erected on a soundstage, with the Art Deco production design created by Terminator 2's Joseph Nemec and Batman's costume designer Bob Ringwood.
The more and more I'm looking at this movie, the more and more I really want to watch it. Like, I am fully aware that it's probably going to be a shit movie, but I also really want to watch it now.
One of the coolest aspects of The Shadow is how Mulcahy mixes practical and CGI effects to create a vivid and vibrant visual experience. Mulcahy hired Brian De Palma's longtime cinematographer, Stephen H. Burham, as director of photography. Despite the heavy usage of practical and digital technology, one overlooked part of the story includes the sweeping cinematic score by the great Jerry Goldsmith. The music helps elevate the mood of each emotional expression, with bold operatic strokes punctuating the violent action scenes, lush romantic melodies for the tender love scenes, and menacing synthesizers for Khan's main theme. Composer Diane Warren also wrote a big band style number called Some Kind of Mystery.
I love her dress. Oh my god, look at her dress. It's so cute. And her like little flower pins on her headdress, that looks really cute.
Performed by Sanoa Loren, who is made up to resemble famous actor and singer Lena Horne in the Cobalt Club. Before addressing The Shadow's ill-fated reception, perhaps one reason for the movie's failure to resonate among the masses is the obscure inside references to the 30s and 40s. Most of the movie's plot points derive from the Shadow radio and magazine stories published decades before. So, unless you grew up with the character and were familiar with the Shadow's crime-fighting asides, most of the references and Easter eggs flew right over your head. For instance, Lamont Cranston's first encounter with Shawan Khan features a sly in-joke about where Cranston purchased his Brooks Brothers tie, which lampoons the radio show's habitual product placement.
May I ask where you acquire it?
Brooks Brothers,
Is that Midtown?
45th and Madison.
Before we continue with our video,
I mean, there is something to say that it failed because a lot of people just did not grow up with The Shadow by the time the 90s hit. I certainly did not grow up with The Shadow. Like, you've heard my performance of The Shadow. I made up, like, some of the melodies that happened with The Shadow because I just don't know what kind of music they played in the radio show. So that is a factor of it. And it also could be the factor where, you know, it wasn't, like, that style of movie wasn't exactly popular in the 90s. The 90s was all about, like, you know, extreme-ish behavior. Oh, there we go. The cats are getting their food now. But yeah, I think by the time the 90s hit, that kind of like 20s style fell out of style. Though they should have, like they said, they should have either done it 5 years before, or they should have waited until like the mid-20s, or the mid-2000s when, you know, Chicago became uber popular. And then they could have released The Shadow then, and then it would have been like more of a cultural landmark. Because it does look like a cool movie.
Here's a reminder to click the store tab on any of our Joe Blow channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
From there, the movie adapts several radio and novel storylines and action sequences that, unless they happened to be familiar beforehand, did not connect with the audience in 1994. A glaring example includes the scene in which Cranston rescues Dr. Roy Tam from suicidally leaping from the Brooklyn Bridge. The scene was lifted directly from the Shadow's debut novel, The Living Shadow. Yet another is the cigarette billboard presenting Khan's demands, which was first seen in the 1939 Shadow story, The Golden Master. Speaking of cigarette ads, the Smoking Man billboard for Lama cigarettes in the film parodies the real-life Camel cigarette billboard campaign created in 1941.
And it's a pretty faithful depiction of the billboard, I would say.
As for production, the most troubled example includes the exhilarating Hall of Mirrors chase during the finale. The sequence was intended to be much longer, but a massive 6.7 magnitude earthquake rocked Northridge, California.
Ooh, yeah, that's like an act of God that you can't exactly plan for.
On the day of filming, the Hall of Mirrors sequence was adapted from the 1942 Shadow story, The Doom Room. The point is, by faithfully shoehorning small details from the Shadow's 1930s origins, Koepp and Mulcahy may have gone too far with the
Oh my god, is that Tim Curry? Oh my god, it is! Holy shit, he's in this movie? Dang, I really do need to watch it now.
minutia, alienating new generations of fans and appealing only to a built-in fan base from 50, 60 years prior. Between that and the forgettably muddled story, The Shadow couldn't atone for its grand visual splendor and ultimately became a commercial failure for Universal. Released as a summer blockbuster on July 1st, 1994, The Shadow proved to be anything but. The film grossed $48 million worldwide, nowhere near enough to justify the cost of production, much less warrant a franchise-launching sequel. Just as Warner Brothers had done with Batman, Universal planned on turning The Shadow into a merchandise money-making machine, producing ancillary toys, clothing lines, video games, movie sequels, and TV spin-offs.
Yeah, that's the 90s for you. If it can't produce a toy line, then don't even fucking bother.
Alas, Disney's The Lion King and New Line's The Mask kept The Shadow shrouded from the masses.
Oh shit, that was around the same time The Mask. Well, The Mask I would not consider to be like a 30s inspired film, outside of the fact that the titular character wears a 30s style suit.
Grossly outperforming the movie at the domestic and international box office. In 2025, The Shadow holds a dismal 37% Rotten Tomatoes rating and a middling 50 Metascore. Of course, the grand irony for Universal is that Sam Raimi, who lobbied to direct The Shadow, made the superior Darkman for the studio 4 years earlier. Darkman made more money and received better reviews from critics and audiences alike. Had the studio granted Raimi the opportunity to make his dream movie in the first place, perhaps plans for a Shadow franchise would have materialized. However, Raimi attempted to make The Shadow again in 2006 with Batman producer Michael E. Uslan, presumably for Warner Brothers, but the project fizzled. For all his talents, Russell Mulcahy never eclipsed his two first films, Razorback and Highlander, and is now best known for directing the Teen Wolf MTV series.
Oh, that's a shame.
And that brings us back to Sam Raimi. What the hell's a guy got to do to prove to Universal he's the right director to realize The Shadow? 3 successful Spider-Man movies? Check. A worthy Doctor Strange sequel? Yep. A long-running track record of innovative horror stories? Indeed. A lifelong interest in illuminating The Shadow on the silver screen? You bet your balls. While we can all...
But The Shadow is old. They don't want old stuff. They want new stuff. And they want it gay and lame.
dream about Raimi making a future Shadow movie, Mulcahy's version remains a fairly entertaining diversion despite its poor reception. It may not be the best standalone superhero outing on record, but it's certainly not the worst. The most important lesson to be gleaned is optioning the right material alone isn't good enough for a studio and producer. Picking the proper talent to translate the material with a unique vision will always remain essential. Bregman bet on Mulcahy from their previous working relationship, while Universal never gave Raimi a chance before or after he made Darkman. Until more comes to light, that's what the happened to the Shadow 30 years ago.
I'll know.
But yeah, I'll probably watch it and then give my honest review of it. But in the meantime, yeah, the liquor's kicking in, so I should probably stop before I embarrass myself. If you enjoyed yourselves today, like and share the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.